Yo. What the f? I guess we gave up on praying to ourselves and we're now praying to goddesses, so hey, a little less egotistical this episode. You are the poster child for why Plan B and abortion is needed. 200-week abortion, here we come. Texas be shaking in their boots right now. Everyone worried the captain was gonna become a zombie vampire thing just feeding on the bodies of his people. Turns out, he was just an aura farming king. So I think out of all the years of watching anime, this might be the biggest "they had me in the first half, I'm not gonna lie" I've ever experienced. But silly me, right? I mean, we did kickstart the show off with essentially seeing Klein die, so silly me for assuming a second time would be any different. This man gonna be rising from the dead non-stop, isn't he? That clown is here to stay and I'm completely here for it. Make sure you drop a like though, show spoil this video, subscribe if you're new around here. Patreon is where you catch my full live reactions on all these episodes and more if you also want to help fund the channel and videos just like these. So, episode 13. I remember for a bit hearing that it was going to be one of the bigger episodes. And I mean, at the end of the day, we could probably assume the prologue is over. I mean, if you watch the full credits, which you should, beautiful imagery, but you get a small little glimpse. Did he just introduce himself as Sherlock Moriarty? Come on. Come on now. You gotta stop playing with me. The thing is throughout that whole fight, I thought to myself, oh, it's gonna be more than just this crazy Resident Evil bitch, right? And then they kill her, and I'm like, oh, okay. And I believed it. I thought it was over. And then the second phase came in. I was like, of course, the Dark Souls boss fight way of doing things. And while watching, I thought to myself, damn, it's kind of crazy. Like, I knew the captain wasn't making it. Done was done, okay? Like, he was gonna be game over no matter what. I knew that. But I did have concerns about Klein. Now, when I have these concerns, I'm thinking to myself, well, he'll still come back, right? But it's a different experience when you're like, okay, this is our MC. I don't get the impression this is where we're gonna switch MCs. So, when I think it's all over and we have the emotional goodbye, I'm thinking, well, that's powerful, you know? Good finale. Tease where we're gonna go next. Did they skewer my boy? And throughout that whole thing, I was thinking to myself, well, because I'm thinking, okay, this could be a show where we switch MCs. Initially, that's the thought in my head. I'm like, props to the fandom, I guess. They didn't spoil the fact that Klein wasn't actually going to be our MC. But then I was like, well, but what about the magical realm and our meetings? Like, the more I was thinking, I was like, okay, maybe that's what they're going to do. Almost like a dual protagonist, right? Like, I mean, Buddy's saying he's going to join up. He's one of my favorites. I could follow him as, like, our human character, and then maybe he manipulates shit like a god from the shadows. I don't know, right? But no, this man, nah, he's him. I have a strong suspicion this isn't going to be the last time this guy dies and rises from the grave. And I think it's going to be a common enough thing where, you know, Buddy was, like, having a conversation about, like, hey, he shot himself in the head, but he survived. All these things kept happening, but he survived. And, like, that's probably going to be a common enough, like, conversation of what the hell. But the idea of, like, essentially picking up a new identity, doing your thing in the shadows, I mean, wanting to go back to your family and, like, tell them, but probably can't because it raised a lot of questions. It's such an interesting turn of events. And we've seen so much absurdity in this show that I felt like if I really would have started thinking about moments like these, like theorizing stuff could happen like this, say yesterday, right, before I watched the episode, I'd be like, okay, yeah, but it ain't gonna hit, but it does. A few weeks ago, I said something that, you know, ruffled some people's feathers, and then other people are like, I see where you're coming from. There's no denying the pacing and structuring in the first little bit of the show was fast as hell. Like, literally, the production committee told the studio, rush to get to the clown fight. Like, that's important. Then do whatever you want after. And while that's partially because, you know, you want to keep as much entertainment there for a casual audience so they don't drop out, but at the same time, unless they were going to give us 16 episodes for this first batch or something, I would much prefer getting rushed pacing at the beginning if the remainder of the pacing feels like they slow it down. And I really feel like they did. And it's interesting because for like half of this show, if you would have killed old Neil, the captain, hell, even Skewered Klein, I don't think it would have had that big of an impact on me. I would have been like, oh, that's sad for them, but, you know, it is what it is. But damn, did the second half of this season do wonders for characterization and really making me feel like I've known these characters longer than I have. And I gotta admit, the scene in the market when the family's walking, right, like after, like they're sad, and then the whole clown stuff happens. First it's flowers, and then it's confetti, and then it's like, ooh! That's gotta be one of the best scenes I've seen this year in anime. I'm gonna keep it real. Like, it was that good. And like, you know, the emotional and everything's good when, like, I haven't even talked about the action. And like that, I believe this was one of the episodes that the director was like, hey, listen, I know this episode wasn't the greatest, but wait till like this like, during episodes with great action, the director and shit would be coming out saying like, yeah, it wasn't our best work, but wait till episodes this, this, and this. And we're all looking at them like, what are you talking about? It was great. But like that whole sequence, one of the best compliments I can give, and I think no one's going to give this as a compliment, was the art consistent? Absolutely. Was the animation fluid and easy to keep up with? Absolutely. That was all important, but the reason the whole fight worked the way it did was because of the color palette. We were fighting in pretty much darkness. It was a dim scene, and before like the blue like kind of particle effects started happening, it's a very dark scene, but it doesn't feel hard to keep up with everything happening because the way they blended in all the darker tones, the grays and the blacks and the like, they merged it so well that, and I have an issue with darker and dim scenes because the way my eyes are, I can't see that great in the dark to begin with, let alone when anime has it so dark, I'm like, I can't even tell what's happening. So a giant monstrosity blob and like human characters blending into shadows, it's a recipe for disaster. No, I kept up with every single move, and I really appreciate how they lit the scene, and I think it's going to be the kind of underappreciated all-star of that whole sequence. It was fantastic. I mean, when you have a fandom hyping up a show, as much as the Lord of Mysteries one was, like, I remember, this show's been announced for a hot minute, and I've always been hearing, oh, it's going to be the biggest show, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, everyone says that about everything. And while I'm not going to get up here and say, this is the greatest thing I've ever witnessed in all my life, I am going to safely say it's clearly building itself into being a masterpiece. This was one of the most fun shows I've seen this year. It's one of the best produced shows I've seen ever. And to be honest, like 3 episodes ago, you could have ended the season and I would have been eager to jump into season 2. What they showed me in the last few episodes, especially 13, has me saying, why do we have to wait till next year for a special episode, you bastards? So yeah, they did what they needed to. They had me hook, line, and sinker, and goddamn do I need more of the clown. Let me know your thoughts down below on this season, and especially this episode. Leave a like, show your support, subscribe if you're new around here, and Patreon's where you'll catch my full live reactions on all these episodes and more. Like, hey, I also like to give video shoutouts to my patrons. Alright, so today we got Kakyu, AI740, Sean1815, Gun Bunny, True Obelisk, Damian Shizek, Big Deval, Shasu Paston, A. Barrett, and we also have the Drunk Crusader. So I appreciate the support. Please take care. You'll have a good one.